I bow to all the seekers of truth. Everyone has been talking about truth. Since long we have been hearing that we have to find out the truth. And there has been an evolutionary process even in our spiritual seeking. As you must have seen how gradually we are built up and how the divine personalities came on this earth to give us a new awareness, a new dimension, a new understanding of ourselves within. All this evolved slowly, one after another, outside as well as inside. But what we see outside is something frightens people. They see a person like Khomeini, they see a person like Idi Amin, then Gaddafi, they are quite shocked. They think these fundamentalists are there. They can't understand how these people can carry on with that kind of a fundamental idea in their head that they are the best and they have a right to proclaim as if Muhammad Sahib was in their pocket. But it's true of every religion. They are very gross. They are not so sophisticated. So we do not see their fanaticism. We can see their fanaticism. But those who are so sophisticated, like I was born in a Protestant religion, I found they were extremely sophisticated. And no escape was left for any seeker to come out of it. Because only thing was to dress up nicely, go on a Sunday, attend a meeting and finished. Pay for the parson, pay for the church, finished. You are saved once for all. I used to think how they are draining all the seeking of human beings. I mean, what is this going on? And then we had Paul. I was shocked to see him in the Bible. How was he there? I don't know. Because he was never with Christ. He's actually an antichrist in a way because he was epileptic. He tortured people who were Christians. Suddenly he sees some light and takes up the charge, becomes the leader, orders about, organizes God, Christ, everyone, church. Now today is nice that we see there's a confrontation. Now we have two groups of people. Those who believe that Christ was miraculous, was divine, and those now who believe in Paul that he was not. I say he was. He was the divine incarnation of the child. He was the Son of God. It can be proved now. Now the time has come to prove all these things. Hindus are the same, extremely fanatic. They have a funny custom of having caste system which was never preached before. Actually, the one who wrote Gita was Vyasa, who was the illegitimate child of a fisherwoman. So how could you say that you are born as a Brahmin? Valmiki, who wrote Ramayana, was a man who was a thief and also a fisherman, and he became such a great saint. None of the incarnations took birth in the Brahmin family except for Parshuramas. So the so-called Brahmins today who say that they are the ones who are the fundamental Hindus should know that they are not. Brahmin is a person who knows the Brahma, the one who feels the power, the eternal power, the power that is all pervading of God, the Brahma. If you cannot feel that, then you are no Brahmin, you are just trying to proclaim like any priest does. Everybody has taken these beautiful flowers away from the tree of life. When they are dead, They are calling, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. And they are fighting, they are militant. How can you be militant? Like these born again people, you'll be surprised that in Geneva, they came with Bibles in their hands to hit me. And I'm just laughing. They have a tape on. I said, what Christians are coming nicely down with the Bible to hit somebody? I mean, can you imagine such absurd things happening in the name of Christ, in the name of other great religions? Every religion has gone wrong. Buddhism has gone wrong to such an extent that Buddha did not want to talk at all about God because he thought if you talk about God, everybody thinks they have become gods. So best thing is tell them first self-realization. I did that myself for some years. First take your realization, then I'll talk about God. No God, nothing. First take your realization. That's why he didn't want to talk about God. That's why they call it Anishwar. It means he does not believe in God. He's an atheist. He was not. But he saw the point. It's better not talk about God. Let them have their self-realization and then we'll talk about it. But Buddhists, they not only worship everything, but if you see the way they go on worshipping, they are really maddening people. Real maddening. You cannot imagine how they could be so funny. I'm seeing in China, I was surprised with these lamas, that when I went to China, they showed us what they got from Tibet, because I know Pali. Ancient things were there written, big plates of real gold, and wine glasses and beer glasses, all made in real 24-karat gold, thick ones. All were used by these lamas. They had taken this money from these poor Tibetans. If you see the poor Tibetans, you'll be shocked what sort of life they have lived in, and they have lived. I have no sympathy about communism as such. But what I saw shocked me. It was no publicity stunt because I know Pali. It all belonged to this lama, this person, that person. For ages they have been extracting money from these poor people who didn't even have sufficient money to clothe themselves in that cold, and they call themselves religious. Then it strikes you. You think, why all this? How can God do these things? It's only human beings. They really have such a knack of ruining everything that is beautiful if they want to. And this is what has happened. Now, when we stand in front of reality, we realize that reality is. There is reality. There is God. Like in Algeria, the young people got such a fright from the fundamentalists organizing themselves that they wanted to all become communists. There were 500 young boys, doctors, engineers, architects, all sorts of intelligent boys. They all became communists. One of them somehow came to London. He got his realization. Very intelligent boy, extremely intelligent. And he went back and told them, no, it's true, there is God. There's every meaning to what Muhammad Sahaba says, only these people have ruined it. And all of them got realization. They came to London by plane. They settled down in search of. This is what it is, that such a reaction is built in the minds of people today. It's very difficult on one side to fight the people who do not believe that there could be anything like God. And there's another group which believes that God is all in their pocket. They are the ones who are owners of God. There are two types of extremes. One has to go on fighting. And sometimes you wonder, what is going to happen to these stupid people? What are going to do? But as it is today, we see that there are many seekers who want the truth. And the truth is a simple thing. Very simple thing is the truth that you are the Spirit. You are the one who is the Spirit. Not this body, not this mind, not this ego, not this superego. What you are is the Spirit. And the Spirit is a reflection of God Almighty within you. And you are the reflector. This is the truth. And once you become the truth, the nature of spirit is that it is the truth. As I told you yesterday, we live in the areas of relativity. Everything is relative to us. We do not know the absolute. The only thing that knows the absolute is the spirit. That's the only thing that knows the absolute. It does not leave good or bad. For example, even a child, supposing there are 10 children who are born realized, and you tie their eyes and put a man before them, and just ask them to put hands towards them. Now we have here some realized souls, little children. All will say that this particular finger is burning, or 2 fingers are burning, or here it is burning, or it is numb, or it is giving good vibrations in the hands. All these things are to be decoded. And somebody has to tell you with a mouth. The unconscious does not speak. It may appear in the dreams, but by the time you get up from that dream, you pass through so many layers of the dreadful subconscious that you forget what you are seeing. You haven't got that detachment to come out of that state of sushupti direct into the conscious mind. So the only way it has to be done, that somebody has to decode it and tell you what is what. As simple as that. But to know this truth, as I told you yesterday, you don't have to do anything. It is effortless. Sahaja means effortless also. It means born with you the power to become the spirit, as well as effortless, spontaneous. That's a good word, spontaneous. Because all living things are spontaneous. We cannot explain how the seed sprouts. We just say that the Mother Earth has the power to sprout. Now when you become the spirit, you become the truth. Means you know the truth about anything. Because you come in contact that all-pervading power, which has got all kinds of telecommunications. There are some people who told me that they saw me in dreams. And then they came to program. Now, how can it happen? It can. If it is something like the ether we have, from the ether you can see on a television something. In the same way, you can see in your deeper sleep something that exists in the ether. Is the subtle of the ether, is the subtle of all the elements, is called the causal of everything. If you become subtle, you touch that subtle. As soon as you have become a subtler being, more than the human being, you start seeing colors, hues, aesthetics, everything. In the same way, once you become the spirit, you see the aesthetics of righteous living. You enjoy the aesthetics of virtuous living. Because you have become a subtler personality. You see things in a subtler way. In a very subtler way. Now, as it is, there are vibrations all over, but you can't see. After realization, you can start seeing them like small karmas around you. You can see them. You have to become a subtler being to understand what you are. But this is the problem, that people refuse to become subtler beings. They want to remain as they are because they think we are skeptical, we are doubting. But why? Why are you doubting? Why do you doubt? Is the point. It's only your ego, the stupid one. What is it given you? What is it given to anyone in this world? This ego? It has just aggressed others and made you a stupid fellow. That's all. Why not become a subtler being, the higher being, which you have to become? That's why you have become a human being. Now the spirit becomes also collectively conscious. It becomes collectively conscious because it is a collectively conscious being within us, and that collectively conscious nature comes into our awareness. And when it comes into awareness, means into our attention, we become collectively conscious. So that we start feeling the another person. Who is the other? Like some people say, we have done so much good to others. When they say that to me, I'm really surprised. I don't do anything whatsoever. In my own nature, it is working out whatever it is. But who is the other? Supposing this finger is paining and the another finger is just trying to console it or to give some comfort. Do you feel any gratitude for this hand or for this body? Who is the other? Because if you become part and parcel of the whole, then there is no other left. Everybody is within yourself. And when that happens, you actualize, again I say, the experience of collective consciousness. That's how you solve the problems of the world. Today we may say we have great friends. This country, that country, great friends. But it comes to that sometimes, that two brothers cannot live together. Two brothers, two sisters, husband, wife, cannot live together. For the first time, when you become the spirit, you realize not as a mental projection or a mental understanding, but your being, your central nervous system realizes that who is the other. The whole system changes. The whole priority changes. Like the light, when it is not enlightened, the problem is how to enlighten. But once it is enlightened, it starts giving light automatically. You don't have to tell the light, now you give the light. It does. Because it's enlightened. In the same way, when you are enlightened, you become a personality. You really become. Again I say, again and again, becoming. It's not question of just saying, I am now the twice born. I am now a realized soul. Nothing. You get a state within yourself by which you can feel that on your nervous system, the centers of another person's and your own centers on the fingertips. You can feel actually. You can feel what that person has the problem, and you can feel what problems you have. Then supposing you know how to solve those problems. Supposing. Then you solve them. That's the simple technique if you have to learn how to solve these problems. It's very, very simple thing to work it out on very gross to a very subtle level. I went to Kuala Lumpur for a program. A program was fixed in the evening. I reached there. To my amazement, I found that now Indians must have a visa for Kuala Lumpur. We never had it. Because the Sikhs have put down their foot that they want the Indians to have a Kuala. So I knew big people there. I telephoned to them. They said, we can't help on this point and we're sorry. But I said, nobody told us. He said, the news has not yet reached London. So we are stranded there. They said, now you have to go to Singapore. I said, I don't mind, but I have a program in the evening now. What to do? So a simple thing I did. You won't believe how simple thing it is. I just closed my eyes and thought of this person. Now, if you have this power of love within yourself, that fellow suddenly melted away. He said, have you come to do some spiritual work here? I said, yes. So he telephones to another lady. The lady says, yes, I've heard about her. So they themselves formed a group of people who telephoned to the bosses that we must allow her to come, sir. This won't be good. I was the only person in the history of that Kuala Lumpur who entered into that country without a visa. But I didn't do anything to them. I tell you, I promise you I never did anything. How I worked it out. I really promise. It's very simple. Because you fight with the cause and the effects. You're fighting with the cause and the effects. But if you go on to your center, on your principle, the principle is beyond. If you just stand on your principle, the cause disappears and the effects disappear ultimately. But it sounds very fantastic. Sounds. It is not. I tell you, it is not. You are fantastic. Just think that you are made out of a common atom with 4 valencies to 10 valencies today. Aren't you a fantastic personality yourself? Just look at yourself. Then what is so fantastic that you can go beyond the cause and effects? This is a simple thing you can do with a very, very simple method, but first you must be connected. If you are not connected, you cannot do anything. You must be connected to that all-pervading power which is flowing all the time within you. Then you are there. Problems are solved. We have solved so many problems like that by just raising the Kundalini of the people. Just raise their Kundalini. When the Kundalini is raised, what happens? Now you are paying attention to me. I say pay attention to yourself inside. You cannot. When she rises, some happening takes place, the whole attention is attracted. And like the attention spread like this, and the Kundalini rises like that. She pulls out your attention inside from all kinds of funny temptations and funny habits and useless dominations, everything. It just comes inside and covers your Kundalini. And then she takes that up here, where inside the seat of the Spirit. When you come to the seat of the Spirit, then what do you get there? Is the blessings of the Spirit. That means your central nervous system gets enlightened by the Spirit. So whatever you achieve is on your central nervous system. It is not somewhere hanging that you can feel it on your fingertips. Now some people who do not feel think, oh, they are very great because they haven't felt. They don't know something wrong with them that they did not feel. It's the other way around in India. Say in a village I am giving, somebody doesn't feel, he starts crying. Oh, what happened? Why did I not feel? What did I do? But here people feel proud. Oh, I didn't feel at all. I was so strong, you see. Because there is no tradition of seeking. You see, the religion, as I know, has no tradition of seeking. Go to church, wear nice dresses, that's all. Sit down and pray. Let us sing hymn number this, go back home. And I used to wonder, what is this? This is not going to take us to Christ at all. What Christ has said, that you are to be born again. Not only that, when Nicodemus asked, is it that I have to enter into the womb of my mother? He said, no. That would be like a flesh giving birth to flesh. But the Holy Ghost has to give you the birth. Now where is the Holy Ghost? You ask anybody. Even the Archbishop of Canterbury was asked by Robin Day. In my presence it has happened, so I cannot disbelieve it. It's not just somebody's story. And he said, what is the Holy Ghost? So he said, I am agnostic. The Archbishop of Canterbury says he's agnostic. So Robin Day says, then what are you doing there? He said, I am doing my job. He said, yes, I am also doing my job. You are also doing your job. That's it. They are on a job there. What do you say? Imagine trying to find jobs to all these useless people. So this is where we stand. Let us face it clearly. This is not what we are. It's all kinds of funny things that are going on. We are the Spirit. The Spirit is a fantastic thing. That it is the source of peace. It is the source of peace. No use talking about peace and preparing atom bombs. There is no use organizing things about peace and fighting among themselves in the election who will be the president of the peace committee. I've seen all that stupidity. I've been seeing it every day. First thing is, who's going to give the champagne? Nobody is bothered about peace. Just talk. Peace is only possible if we become the Spirit, which is the source of peace, that you become peaceful. The peace comes because the thought rises and falls off. Another thought rises and falls off. You are living on the cusp of these thoughts, and in a speedy country, you are jumping fast on every thought. This to that, that to that, that to that. Big yarns coming out of your head. But there is a space in between these two thoughts, which is the present. When the Kundalini rises, she takes you through that. So you go beyond the waves of the thought. Like you are standing in the water and you are frightened of the waves. But if you get to a boat, then you start seeing those waves without getting frightened. And this is exactly what happens to you, that you get to that state of a witness, which is also described in the Bible. I mean, nobody talks about it. They don't know what it is. Just go for a sermon, sit there with a headache for 1 hour, come back home. Same with the temples today, or in our temples, they are selling all kinds of drugs. Today, a girl who came to see me, I was shocked. She has been taking drugs when she had 3 children, and children are suffering, she is suffering. I told her, how do you take so much drug? I mean, there should be some sense in your head to have children and to take drugs like this. So she said she had some guru called Chiranjit Roy, I don't know who this new one is, who says he's Shiva. And because Shiva used to take all the drugs, all his disciples should take drugs. And even when they are going to have children, they should take drugs. Imagine. Now Shiva is the one who is the consumer of all the poisons of the world. He's the consumer. Will you consume poison tomorrow because you are Shiva, suddenly you become Shivas? He is the one who takes away, who consumes all that. Like Christ took away the spirits and put them in the pigs. So are you going to consume all the spirits and put them into yourselves? A simple thing like that convinces people that they are Shivas. If you see ego is blasted, if you are given a new dress to wear, some name of a Bhonganan, something like that, you become convinced, oh, I'm a big yogi. So I can take drugs, after all nothing can, what's wrong? She produced 3 children in that condition. I don't know what's going to happen to those lives. So irresponsible. But they put all the responsibility of the guru. But who is going to face the life are the children. So, as a spirit, you understand that the responsibility lies with God Almighty. Actually. But you see everything happening. Like you are going by a plane, and some people thought that it was too much load for the plane, so they will put their luggage on their heads. Like that we have put all the luggage on our head, we have tensions. But the one who has taken is in the plane is going to land the plane all right. So we don't have to keep that luggage on our head. This is exactly the position that once you realize, you throw away all that. You become completely relaxed. There's no tension. The tension is built up because you feel unnecessarily responsible. Or you put your responsibility to somebody who is anti-God. You don't put your responsibility to God, and you cannot, even if you say so. In India, for example, Krishna has said that put all your efforts at the lotus feet of God. So they say, so many come to me. Mother, whatever we do, you see, we put it at the lotus feet of the God. Even if you murder, will you put it at the lotus feet of the God? No, that won't. Why? Why shouldn't you put that also? Because not good. I said, who told you that? You cannot put it at the lotus feet of the God because you are not connected with God. Where are his feet dangling? Where are they? Unless and until you are connected with him, how can you say that you have put it at the lotus feet? Actually, automatically it happens to you. Then you say, you don't say, I do it. I gave realization. Nobody says like that. What they say? Mother, it's coming. It's going. It. In third person we talk. It's not yet there. It is. It's missing. That's how. In a third person one start talking, he doesn't say, I am doing. I am giving realization. It's the Kundalini. She's giving and she hasn't yet come. And you become absolutely detached about it. To such an extent that there was a lady who traveled with me to America and her son came all the way from Honolulu, whom I could not give realization. Very difficult man, Indian, but very difficult. So she came to me, she said, Mother, please give him realization. I said, you are a realized soul, you give him realization. And you give him a certificate. She said, Mother, how can I? If he is not realized, how can I give him a certificate? I said, that's it. If he is not a realized soul, he is not a realized soul. So be detached about it. Why are you worried about your son? Tell him that he should work it out and then he should get his realization. You can't help it. If they do not want it, you cannot do it, you cannot work it out, you cannot force it. It has to write, it has to work out. It's in the third person it happens. And then you become in akarma, means you become non-action. You do not do any action. No action. You just become an instrument. Like this is doing no action, it is just here when it is put to the mains in the same way. You just become into non-action. But you see all that is happening. You know how to maneuver, but it's all in non-action. The light comes in there, you see the electricity flowing into it. You don't say, I am the light there. In the same way, you see the Kundalini working through you, you see the all-pervading power, you see all that, and you just say, it is working, it is happening, it is doing. So you fall in a different category of people who are not attached to anything. You are not attached. Like some people say that you must give all your money to the gurus to get detached. If you are a married person and the guru is a non-married sannyasi, why should you give everything to him? You are a householder. What business this sannyasi has got to take all your money? You have earned your money for your own family. Why should you give it to this sannyasi? Very nice coming down from somewhere like a sannyasi and taking all your money. What a sannyasi he is. So the asceticism or sannyas is within. You just get detached about it. You see, if you are in a rich family, you can live in a palace. I would say if you see my house in London is really like a palace, I would say. But if you see me in Indian villages, I am on a bullock cart, I can sleep near a river, I can be under a tree, I have no problem. I have no worry of my physical comfort. As long as my spirit is in comfort, I am happy. And that's what happens to you. That you become seeker of the comfort of the spirit and not of the body. But that doesn't mean you become primitive, that you start growing your hair, smelling awfully. No, you are a normal person. You are absolutely a normal person. I have to say that because everybody, whatever I say, they go to another extreme. Tomorrow I'll find many people coming, walking down with... Because human beings, if you don't keep them in the center, they'll slip out this way or that way. You have to see that they are kept in the center properly so they reach their thing. The other day another fellow comes and said, Mother, do you think we should have celibacy? I said, who told you that? I never said it. I said, you are to be married because there are great people who are to be born together. Another fellow today attacked me with a question, why do you decide for the marriages of others? I never. You see, there are people, they have to select and say, I want to marry. Then I said, all right. But supposing I think this won't work out, I must warn them that you try, but may not work out. Yes, I have to warn them. Because tomorrow they'll say, Mother, you said yes. But I warned them. Let's see, this is rather difficult. So, this is what it is. Instead of having the whole thing neutralized before marriage, what's the use marrying today and walking to a divorce case? Today they marry, tomorrow they are going for a divorce case. This is nonsense. So the marriage is established also with the full understanding of the spiritual position of a person and also with the full understanding as to how this marriage will work out their different qualities. In India, of course, we consult horoscopes, and one of them is very good idea, before realization. But after realization, you go beyond horoscopes. You go beyond all kinds of stars, everything. You go beyond time, you go beyond your gunas. So now, how to decide at that point? Still, there are temperaments in a subtler way still hanging on. So for marriage, one has to know what sort of a person will be congenial. The same person may not be happy with the other one, and the same may be happy with another one. So that has to be judged now. Then another thing is that you lead a very normal life. You become an extremely normal person. Extremely normal. There's nothing abnormal about it. On the contrary, who are not realized go to abnormal things. But you become the warrior of truth, a warrior of truth. Like Christ, when he saw people stoning Mary Magdalene, he stood up. He had nothing to do with prostitutes. Such people have nothing to do with prostitutes. But he stood up and he said, those who have not sinned so far can throw a stone at me. That's the strength of the truth. Truth is not afraid of anyone. You'll be surprised, in the year 1970, openly in a much bigger hall than this, I had openly taken the names of all the fake gurus and what they were in last life and how horrible they are. Openly. And everybody says they are going to come with a pistol. So I said, I have to see who's going to come with a pistol, let's see. Not 1 inch they moved. That's the power of truth. When you know the truth, you say it. You are not afraid of death or any threats. Whatever is the truth, you say because you become the truth. You become very honest to yourself. You cannot be dishonest anymore. You cannot be. You become so tranquil within yourself because you get integrated in your mental, physical, and emotional being. There's nothing torn between people. Just understand this is the right thing. This is the right path. Where as if you feel you are lifted up and you are going in a path which doesn't touch all these bifurcations, divergence, all these temptations, and all stupid wastage of time. But you are just moving so smoothly into a realm of such beauty and love among yourselves. Then the relationships between men and women in general becomes very pure. Like sisters and brothers. It's such a pure relationships, you will never find any problems like that. You put 10 Sahajogis together. I've never seen anybody running away with somebody's wife. It's a common problem in England. You call somebody as a guest in the house, tomorrow, next day you find your wife is run away. I mean, imagine, it's all right in India, if you call somebody, he might run away with you, some of your things might be replaced. But what about a wife? Such a thing never happens among Sahajogis. Because the relationship to be good among the society, the people, is to be that one should have pure relationships, otherwise it cannot exist. The society will become a violent society. A society which is in turbulence. You don't know. Every time you're frightened, your wife may run away, your husband may run away, he may do this, he may do that. But if you are steady and you know that this is it, then you are not bothered. You don't want to cheat your wife, you don't want to cheat your husband. Nothing. You are enjoying each other. Whether sometimes you are not together, doesn't matter. You just don't hanker, you don't get absolutely lost. There's such a show of love on the streets everywhere in the West. But next day they might be going for a divorce. It's such a flimsy relationship that exists between husband and wife. Like in Russia, they have a huge big compound, I have seen that, where all the bridegroom and the brides have to walk. It is about at least 200 yards, quite a long distance. And sometimes there could be 200, 300 bridegroom and bride walking, towards the altar on that big thing. I said, why such a big thing? You have kept poor things have to walk, and then in the church they have to walk. It's too much. They said because they may decide not to have marriage, it is better they should decide now. Really very practical people. Very practical, I tell you. This is what it is. But in Sahaja Yoga, all these problems become very minor. We never have these problems at all. The girls feel safe, the boys feel safe. It's the whole society feels extremely safe and happy and peaceful because you have become the spirit. Because spirit is not only holy, but is pure. Is pure. It is purity. It has purity. The feelings that you express are sincere, pure. There's no cunning in it. There's no artificiality. It's just pure, real, genuine. Whatever you want to say, you say it genuinely from your heart. It is not superficially said. So a person's depth suddenly shows up. And you will be amazed how people change. You see, there was one fellow who told me, Mother, I'm a changed person, that's all right, but my all relations have changed. I said, how? So I was a very snooty fellow, he was a rich man, I was very snooty. After realization, I realized I'm a spirit, and they are all the spirits. And the whole snootiness dropped out from somewhere, I don't know how. And I'm such a popular man with everyone, I'm enjoying my generosity. And he's become 20 years younger now. Otherwise he was worried, who's going to take away my money, who is interested in my money, what will happen to my money. No worries. Worries drop out. As Dr. Warren has told you, your diseases get cured. Definitely they get cured. Any kind of disease can get cured if it is in limits. But say it's a gone case, then what can we do? Let the body take another form. But diseases, when they start, you know immediately. A person who gets, say, Ekadasha immediately knows he's in for a very bad disease if all these chakras, 11 catches. Maybe cancer, mellitus, all these incurable diseases are in. Immediately he knows. He works it out, clears it, he's out of danger. Even before the doctors could detect it, you know that you have the drug. So you become the detector. You know your pathological conditions without going through all that horrible X-ray and all those things. And you know how to cure, so you are your medicine and you are your doctor. So self-sufficient. You'll be surprised. This has been described more than 14,000 years back by a great astrologer called Bhrigu Muni in India, who was the pioneer of all the astrologies, in a book called Nadi Granth. It's a very big book, Nadi Granth. And this is completely described. This happening will take place, that you will not need any more hospitals. But doctors should not get a fright. We are not in to cure people. We are here to make them doctors, that's all. We don't want to cure people, they must become doctors first, and then they can cure others. Now, regarding the spirit, the last and the highest thing, that it is the source of joy. Joy has no duality. It doesn't have happiness and unhappiness. That is the ego. When the ego is pampered, it feels happy. When it is hurt, it feels unhappy. So it has nothing to do with duality. It's in joy. Say a sensible man is watching a tragedy or a comedy as a drama, enjoys both. He doesn't get involved into it. In the same way, you enjoy life without getting involved into it, and life becomes a source of joyous living. So the joy that you feel is rather late in the Western minds. The reason is the mind of the Western people is overdeveloped and the heart is less developed. But say in a place where people are developing now, they are developing their brains now. Developing countries, the heart is more developed. So they feel the joy first and they are not bothered about knowing about the brain. But the Western mind will first of all see, is it true or not? Yes, it's true. Then it will go and see, this fellow, let me see the vibrations of a tree, of a doggy, this, that. They go on analyzing everything. See me the vibrations of this photograph, of this sari, of that clothes. They go on like mad, they go on first analyzing it. Then when they get out of it, they settle down. Then they find the Kundalini is fixed here and the source of joy starts pouring. Just like the river Ganges. It pours. Actually, physically you feel that what we call the spulling is the rising of the hair. When you feel that joy falling from your head, just like the Ganges falls on Shiva. When you see a beautiful picture, say, you see a Mona Lisa, you think, this Leonardo da Vinci, what he must have done, how much it will cost, this, that, all those things. But a realized soul does not think, it just looks. Looks at it without thinking. The joy of the creation of that beautiful painting absolutely is reflected in his mind. Like in a rippleless lake, all that is surrounding it is completely reflected. That's how the sense of beauty and aesthetics change, absolutely. And we have had so many great people who were born realized before also. Abraham Lincoln was a born realized fellow. We had people everywhere in the world, like I would say, that Michelangelo was a realized soul, Mozart was a realized soul. I mean, so many people were realized souls. But nobody knew about them. They were effective because they were above all that. And they created these tremendous things because they were one with the divine power that is creative. That is not only creative, it is protective. It is the one that thinks, that understands, coordinates, cooperates, and works out. So Sahaja Yoga is a collective working today in the modern times. There are two things different from what we have had before. In the beginning, they used to take one disciple, cleanse his chakras, cleanse him for years together, and then give him realization. But today, the time is different. So many seekers are there just ready to get their realization. So Sahaja Yoga first gives you the realization. Even a wee bit of it, experience. If you get in that light, you start seeing yourself very clearly, and then you become your own guru. You start cleansing. Supposing there is darkness, I cannot see the sari, there's a spot, I cannot see. But if I see the light, I see it and I clean it. In the same way, you also clean yourself automatically. I don't have to tell you, don't do these 10 commandments, nothing. You command yourself. You look after yourself. I don't have that headache anymore. If somebody is a drunkard or any alcoholic or a murderer or anything, come all. And get your realization. Because inside, whatever is outside is so bad, looks like mud. But inside is the lotus, which rises. Above the lotus you rise and make the whole pond so fragrant. That's what you are, that's what you have to be. I must say this is such a lengthy subject. As I told you, I must have given at least 3,000 lectures in English only in England. I don't know how many in other countries. There's no end to it. And every time I say something, they say, every time, Mother, you are saying something new. So you can have my tapes, you can listen to them, but no use unless and until you get your realization and settle down within yourself. What's the use of listening to me? It's just talk. So today, let us again have the experience of the Spirit and enjoy ourselves. And I would invite you to come down to this place, a little ashram we have, to have the experience cleared out, questions cleared out, minds cleared out, also your health problem. I would request if you can bring little salt, sugar and water with you. It will help me a lot. Because then I will tell you if you have any problem, you can use these vibrated things for your use. And also some oil will be a very good idea to bring so that you get it vibrated and use it. Thank you very much. Tell them if they come after we start meditation, tell them not to say anything. Can you just...
There are two very important points. One is that if you don't want the experience, please leave because it will disturb others. If you don't want to actually experience what Mother has to offer you, please leave now. And the second thing is, anybody who comes in after the experience starts, please stand at the back, stand outside, because this is a very important experience and we want no disturbance of any kind. It has to be done in your freedom. You have to choose. But we want no disturbance. Be fair on the people who are developing their realization and on those people who want it for the first time. So please, if you want to leave now, that's your choice and that's fine, in your freedom.
It will take about 15 to 20 minutes, but those who want to leave should leave. and be kind to others, not to leave in the middle of the meditation, because it will take about 15 to 20 minutes, not much. But one should not disturb others. Or if you want to go to the bathroom or something, you can go and come back. But settle down for it. Because this is the experience of ages that you have to have. This is the experience of the ages. Now, as I told you before, that we have to touch the Mother Earth. Now we think that by taking out our shoes, see how do we touch our Mother Earth? Because we are sitting so much higher than the Mother Earth. But it's a symbolic expression. It's symbolic. It's a symbolic expression we are giving. Those who are sitting down, please, all of you have to do this. Otherwise, you better go away, because it will trouble others. Please, all of you should do it. Otherwise, please go away. Nobody can be forced into it. Everybody is welcome. Now, you have to put both the hands like this on your lap, very comfortably. Very comfortably on your lap. Put both the legs, feet, in such a way they are apart from each other and the legs are parallel, about parallel to each other. Be comfortable. You need not put back your head or put forward. Just sit comfortably in a straight manner without giving any strain to your body. That is one of the things. You have to be comfortable. If there is anything that is tight anywhere, please loosen it. Sit in a way that you feel relaxed. As I said yesterday, today again, at the very outset, I have to tell you that you are the temple of God. You are special people. Not to pamper your ego, but that's a fact. But only one problem, that you have learned how to feel guilty all the time. So please know that this will harm your ascent. Do not feel guilty at all. You have to tell yourself, I am not guilty at all. You have to tell that. Yesterday it was too much. I just was really panicked at that because it wouldn't work out in the beginning. Please tell yourself that I am not guilty at all. In no way I am guilty. Because God is the ocean of compassion and ocean of forgiveness. So how can I be guilty? Just tell yourself very sternly. All right. Now there are 4 chakras. I think there are chakras which we are going to ourselves awaken, ourselves raise the Kundalini. So there should be no problem for it to understand that it is you who is raising the Kundalini. Put the left hand on your lap comfortably is the power of desire that you want to have realization. It should be just comfortably put on the left side. Now the right hand is to be used for your action. Same thing as we did yesterday, but I will tell you where to put it. First of all on your heart chakra, then on your stomach in the upper part, then in the lower part of your stomach, all on the left hand side, then again back on your upper part of the stomach, then on your heart, and then here in this corner. Many people do it like this. No, you have to do it from the front side. Face that side. Now this is the horrible chakra which gets caught when you are guilty. and I am feeling the terrible pain here. Please stop feeling guilty. No, this way. From the across. From across. Just across. You just bring it across. On the left hand side. Yes, that's it. Here. Then you have to go on your forehead. Then on the back of your head, turn round and show them. Holding the optic lobe. Then your palm is to be put on top of the fontanelle bone area where you had a very soft bone as a child, and press it hard and move it 7 times. But I'll tell you all these things, and you have to say the different things at different points, which is very simple in simple English. Now, another thing is, please don't open your eyes during the whole ascent. You can take out your spectacles, it does help eyesight also. But you don't open your eyes because, as I told you, the attention is dragged inside. It's better not to keep the eyes open because eyes take away your attention outside. So keep your eyes all the time shut. Now you will see, mesmerism is just the opposite of this. Now, we close our eyes. All of us close our eyes. Just close your eyes. You have to pay attention to yourself and to nobody else. Now, please put your right hand on your heart and left hand on your lap. Here, as I told you, is reflected the spirit. So the first question you must ask is, Mother or Sri Mataji, whatever you like, am I the spirit? Mother, am I the spirit? 3 times, without feeling guilty. Please don't feel guilty. With all confidence, ask this question, Mother, am I the spirit? Because this is a fundamental question which your computer is asking. The answer will come to you. So please forgive yourself and ask this question. Don't be angry with yourself. Mother, am I the spirit? Keep your eyes shut. What is he doing, Rishabh? Why don't you do? Or you go away. This gentleman. Yeah. Put left hand towards me. Left like this. And right here. All right. Close your eyes. Now photographs will be better when you get realization. Keep your eyes shut. Now, thank you. Now, second question follows. On the another center, which is the center of your principle of Guru, put this right hand on the left hand side of your abdomen, your stomach, in the upper part. This is the center of mastery of the Guru principle, which is built by all the great incarnations of Guru principle. We have to awaken it by first asking the question, which is followed by the first question, Mother, am I my own Guru? Mother, am I my own master? Mother, am I my own guide? Ask the question. Three times. It's all right. See, they have been to other gurus, this, that. So it's all right, we'll manage it. Right. satisfied to be sitting there like that with her legs on. Stupid woman. Tell her to sit properly. Not there, yeah. That woman sitting there. Stupid as she is. Now, you take your right hand down on to the left hand side, on to the lower part of your abdomen, your stomach, and press it. Now, this is the center. This is very important center. Put it down. This is a very, very important center. This is the center. Just show them. Just show them. Just see where to put onto the Swadhisthana, lower Swadhisthana. This center is called as Swadhisthana. Now, this is the center through which we work out the true knowledge, the divine knowledge. Now, here I cannot force you again, as I said. So you have to ask, you have to say, Mother, may I have the pure knowledge? May I have the divine knowledge? Please, you have to ask for it. I cannot force it on you, as I told you. You are free to choose. Please don't feel guilty. See it 6 times without feeling guilty. Whatever I have said or anything that you think I have remarked on something which you might have done wrong, something, forget about it. Just forget. And forgive yourself. Say it 6 times. This will make the Kundalini move. All right? Now, raise this right hand to the same place of the Guru principle, that is on the left hand side of the upper part of your abdomen, your stomach. The upper part. At this time now, because the Kundalini is moving, you have to cooperate with her and show your full assistance by saying with full confidence, Mother, I am my own master. I am my own Guru. I am my own guide. Please say this 10 times. Ten times. Because there are 10 principles of guidance, the 10 commandments. I am that. I am that. Change it. For it, it's clear. Very clear.
It's going well. It's going very well.
Very well. Now please raise this right hand onto your heart again, where resides the spirit. Again, with full confidence, you have to say 12 times, Mother, I am the Spirit. Again, please assert. Mother, I am the Spirit. Ah, very good. 12 times. Now, please raise this hand in the corner of your left hand side neck. Press it hard. Take it backwards. Here you have to say 16 times, Mother, I am not guilty. I have told you again and again that God Almighty is the ocean of love, compassion, grace, but above all, He is the source. He is the complete embodiment of forgiveness. Believe me. What mistakes can we commit that challenges His powers of forgiveness? "16 times. If you all feel still guilty, then better punish yourself and say it 108 times. As I told you yesterday, you have to be in a pleasant mood. You are going to enter into the kingdom of God. Now, raise your hand onto your forehead across. Here, please say from your heart, Mother, I forgive everyone. Please do not analyze it. Just say in a general way, Mother, I forgive everyone. I tell you it's a myth when we say we cannot forgive. Neither we can forgive, neither we can say we cannot forgive. Both are mythical. But if you don't forgive, then you waste your time playing into the hands of others who want to harm you. So just say that, Mother, I forgive everyone. You'll feel so relaxed. Done. Yeah. Just a minute. Now, put this hand at the back. Hold your optic lobe area. Hold your optic lobe area and press it hard. Now, once for all, you tell God Almighty or the Divine that if you have done anything wrong, please, if I have done anything wrong, please forgive me. Please forgive me. But don't feel guilty. Without feeling guilty, just say it. Without feeling guilty. So, better? Not much. Now, raise your right hand on top of your head. Put your palm pressing in the fontanelle bone area, the area which was soft in your childhood. Press it hard and move it in a clockwise manner. Move your scalp in a clockwise manner. Now at this point, I cannot again cross your freedom. You have to ask me that you want your realization. So please say, Mother, I want my realization. Please give me my realization. Say it 7 times, please. You have to ask. Now please take down your hand onto your lap. Slowly open your eyes and don't think. Just don't think. Now you put your right hand on top of your head and see if there's a cool breeze coming in. Now put down your right hand again and see with your left hand. Right hand towards me. See now if there's a cool breeze is coming in. There? Move it. Watch it. It should. It's a subtle thing. Alright? Is that right? Yeah. Good? Yes. Don't doubt yourself. Right? Some of you have not forgiven. That's one of the reasons you don't get breeze. Now will you please put your right hand towards me and say, with the left hand on your head, with your heart, Mother, I forgive everyone. Say it 3 times. Really believing. Alright? Start it. Forgive everyone. Alright, put back your left. Again see.
Yes, it's there.
Better now. See, forgiveness is the biggest block. Now put up your hands like this. And ask a question, pushing back your head. Please say, Mother, is this the cool breeze of the Holy Ghost? Is this the all-pervading power of Ruh? Is this the divine power of God called Brahma? Ask this question 3 times. Don't worry about the air conditioning and all that. Now put down your hands and see on your hands, do you feel it? Very silent. See the peace within. There's no thought. Just see there's no thought within. There is no thought at all. You watch me without thinking. You can do it. Now, one more thing one has to know. How to protect yourself. We are going to have a workshop for all of you. Please come along. You have to look after and respect your realization. You must know it's the most important thing. All other things are absolutely of no value. But you must respect is the first sprouting. Those who have felt, not felt, all of you please come along. I'll tell you one more thing, whether you have felt it or not, try to take a protection. It's very simple way to give protection to your aura. Because your hands now, the cool breeze is coming out, the power. So put the left hand towards me. Don't think. That's the main thing. Keep up. Put the right hand like this on top of your head. So we have to do it 7 times. Let's do it. 1, start it. Again. The second one, this is we are giving protection. Third one, to our aura. 4th, 5th, and the 6th, and the 7th. Now what you have done is to given yourself a protection, because now when you go out, you will suddenly be confronted with all that is gross. Start thinking about it. Keep yourself protected. Now the way how to raise your Kundalini is also very simple. Before sleeping, you give yourself a protection and then sleep. Give yourself a realization in the sense that you fix up your Kundalini is very simple, which I would like to tell you. Very simple it is. Put your left hand in front and right hand along it moves. The left hand rises like this and the right hand moves upper, front, below, back, like that. It moves. Let's do. Now start it off and you take this Kundalini up. Push back your head, make it loose and give it a twist. And now a knot. Second one now. Same way 3 times. See now. Push back your head. It's 2. Third time 3. 3 knots. That's all. Every day if you do it, you'll find you'll be improving. Let us move. Looking at this left hand. Now push back your head again. 1, 2, 3. Now see, your hands will speak, as said in the Quran. All right? Some people felt tingling yesterday. Some people felt some pin-like thing. That's what I have learned. That shows there are some obstructions which must be cleared out. Something wrong, physically, mentally, somewhere, must be cleared out. And everybody has some individual problems, so the Kundalini is sucked back into it. Doesn't matter. As long as you know how to raise it and put right, you'll be surprised very soon you'll reach a state which we call as the doubtless awareness, where it's not mind, but you become absolutely one with the truth. The first is the thoughtless awareness, which is called as Nirvichar Samadhi, which you have got just now. And the second one is the doubtless awareness. It hardly takes a month to achieve that. But you don't have to come every day. It will be every week, one day you have to come. But you must know that, please don't waste it. You are all being sprouted seeds of very newly born babes, you can call. Just you have to look after it. Be kind to yourself. Be gentle and respect yourself, as I respect you and love you.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, again I want to introduce to you Sri Mataji Nirmala Devi. Thank you.